What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? We are live. This is Rockin Dave, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, my friends. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show. Welcome for Rockin Ibanez. I see we got Jim Guitry on there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Little David Ennis. Thank you so much. Clive, thank you so much. Let me just check the chat here, guys. Sorry about that. You know how this is. Paul, how are you, my friend? Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so, hey, Jason, what's happening? Rock and roll, my friends. Really appreciate everyone tuning in. That right there is something that I had created on my Digitech RP360 XP, using the drums and the bass and layering down the rhythm guitar, run it into my Jam Man loop pedal stereo looper. And actually, I recorded that. Holy cow, man. I want to say about a good 12 years ago. Just never released it. It's a kind of a blues rocking thing called Just Passing Through. On my original recording, what I did was, if anyone knows about the Boss DR880 drum machine, it has built-in guitar sims as well as a killer drum machine layout, including, all the pads with double bass. So it's really cool what you could do with this. So it has kind of like that Hendrix, and we're reconnecting. So guys, if we get a little bit dropout, we are in our stormy season down here, and Showman Blues could testify to that because he lives down in Naples, and a lot of other people that live down here in Florida. And in this area, we get a lot of storms and lightning. And earlier, it hit our power, but it didn't. None of the clocks didn't mess up or anything. But what it did is it messed up our AC unit. So what we have to do is, when this happens, our AC unit will just shut it off for about anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and hit it back on, and it's going to restart itself on the compressor. There's like a little timer that will help save the compressor, because on your AC unit, the heart and soul of your unit is that compressor. That's where the refrigerant is in, and everything else is kind of secondary around that. So, but then I reset it, and boom, we're good to go. So we might be getting a couple drop offs here and there. But yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about this video I saw. It was an interview. His name is Mike. I can't remember the guy's last name. It starts with an S. R2R3 locking up. What's happening, my friend? It's good seeing you. I love your advice, and I actually did see a little bit of you jamming on your Strat. One of these days I'll bust out both our Stratocasters. I've got a made in Mexico Fender Strat. Got it in 1996. It was like the 50th anniversary, but it is a made in Mexico Strat, and it is not relicked. I relicked that, by doing one of these things. Crashed right on the concrete. I picked up. It was still in tune. So yeah, doing one of my crazy numbers, I relicked it, which I didn't want to do that to that guitar, but it happened. And my wife has a made in Korea Squier Stratocaster, which is really great guitar. I actually went up in value. Anyway, so I saw this video. I think it was yesterday on Jim Dietrich. How are you, my friend? Good seeing you, buddy. Good seeing you guys out there. And his name is Mike. His last name starts with an S. Japanese guy. And he was talking about the history of Ibanez. And, well, all right. Actually, Ibanez, I guess they started in 1970. And the thing is that, so in like around 1972, I believe it was when they got their distribution contract with the U.S., their contract with the U.S. distributor. But he said they were always making, copy guitars. And actually, Gibson sued them. And because people were saying that, what's the deal with, spending all this money on a Gibson Les Paul? These Ibanez Les Pauls, they're just as good, if not better. So, obviously, Gibson went after them and sued them. So, he was saying in 1978, Ibanez completely stopped making copy guitars. Completely. 1978, and they started with the Ibanez Artist. And then the second model within that same year was the Musician. But I'm thinking, okay, so yeah, boy, was I stupid, because I traded my 1978 Ibanez Artist, and I believe the model number was the 350. And if anyone knows more about this than myself, or and has the catalogs, I wish I would have kept that catalog, because it had all the specs, and down to the model number. And of course, if we had YouTube, I would have been YouTubing the video of the guitar, but we didn't have YouTube back then. So the model I had the block inlays. It was mother of pearl with inside it the abalone. It was actually a tobacco sunburst. It was thin body, kind of like this. Wasn't real fat, and it was an arch top. Had the half bone, half brass sustain nut. Underneath the bridge was, well, yeah, and so let me say this, okay, I think I messed this up. Half bone, half brass nut, and then the sustain block was under the bridge. And then it had the gold tuners, the gold hardware, and then on the tuners it was the kind of like the mother of pearl tuners. A different design on the headstock compared to the 1979 model, because about a couple years after that, I bought a 1979 model. So they started to change the little emblem a little bit. Had the tri-sound switches and all that. Bought the guitar used for $350, and after I watched this video, it linked to another video with Pawn Stars, and the guy brought in a late 70s, probably was a 78 musician, and he's trying to sell it. But then the guy goes on to talk about, when Ibanez started and, broke off on their own. And he said, so the artist series is running from anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. And boy, I felt like bring out the infibrillators because I thought I was having a big one. But, when you're young, you don't realize these things. But it was interesting how this guy said that after they got sued, Ibanez completely said, you know what, we've had enough of the copies. They made everything from the original, down to the pickups, which the artist I had it was called the Super 88 pickups, also known as the flying fingers. I had a hand with the fingers and like the butterfly wings. And so it was a very, very well made guitar. And I wish I'd have written down that serial number, but it was definitely 1978. So when I started this little series about Rockin Ibanez, I really took a lot of thought into this as I was going, because I had the Ibanez guitar and I got more, a few of them, and I have other guitars other than Ibanez. But when I started to really think about it, there is not another company that I know of that has such a wide range of styling. And what I mean by that is they started, I believe in 1977, making the George Benson signature model. So I really think that might have been George Benson was their first artist endorsement. And then right after that, or pretty close to it, was the Paul Stanley. The Ibanez Iceman shape, but then Paul Stanley's, collaboration with them. And then Steve Miller did use the artist guitar, as well as Bob Weir used a similar artist style guitar, as well as the guitar player from America. They had that song, Horse with No Name and Venture Highway. So he had the Ibanez double neck. And, there was quite a few other people after that. But this guy Mike goes on to talk about how in the 80s they had the Roadstar and the Blazer series, and the headstock was not like this. This headstock actually, the first time I've seen this headstock was on my friend Andy Rios on his Paul Stanley model. But, it was a 3-3 tuners, and of course this is a reverse headstock, So they went back when they came out with the RG series with this. But it was really interesting what this guy was saying, that Ben Coombs, my friend, how are you? I watched the replay of your show, and I agree with you. I agree with you on a lot of subjects that you were talking. Sorry, guys. We probably are starting to experience some bad weather floating in here, although it's not raining. Florida's a definitely, it's its own, we're on an island, really. North Fort Myers. For us to get up to the northern part of the state, we always got to cross a canal, and we're always crossing a bridge, so it's kind of like we're on an island. I really didn't realize that. Yeah, but yeah, you're welcome, Ben. Yeah, I agree with you, because people are putting a thumbs down. At least be honest, what let me know what I'm doing wrong, and maybe I could fix it, We got a unique thing here with YouTube. And for those of us who've been gigging for a while, even if we haven't been gigging, we grew up in the 70s. Yeah, we didn't have anything like this. The biggest scare in the movie industry was when the VCR, the beta, remember the beta tape came out? That was the biggest scare. Actually, the Laserdisc was coming out, because Flipside Records had the Laserdisc. And then they pulled it back, and then they re-released it, and all that. But point is that we got a really good platform, and I don't understand why people want to mess it up, Anyways, I don't know. So, before I go any further here, what I am using with this, I hope that's not too loud. My actual guitar sound I'm using is my Boss ME70, my old Boss ME70, run into the front of my Hughes & Kettner Edition Blue 60. It's a solid state amp on the clean channel. And, I've said this, I think, on a video I posted about this. Here's the difference between the Digitech and the Boss. The Digitech shines when you got to go through a PA system. I mean, it's killer. And the only thing is, like, if you're using a Fender's amp sim on it, what happens is guitar can never be too loud. Paul, thank you. That's right. Remember, if it's too loud, you're too old, right? But on the Digitech, I think what you have to do, you get on, I guess, you download from their website if you want to tweak the tube screamer. Because right out of the box, you could have the level on the tube screamer all the way up, the gain all the way up, a nice sweet sound. And if you're running on some of the amps, like the Fender type of sound, which I love that sound, the clean sound is actually louder than the overdrive sound. So I think you got to get on the computer and, throw salt over your shoulder, 3 Hail Marys, hit the right button, call Mr. Spock, even Dr. McCoy. I joke, right? So that's the thing with that. With my ME70, man, I could just crank up the level on the overdrive, and man, it's good to go. It's all knobs. Plus, the ME70 and the ME80 will run on batteries. And I've been in situations where I've done farmers market gigs, and I had to run on batteries with the ME70 and the Boss BA330 powered PA speaker. It sounds great. I have to take it on the headphone out. Sometimes it works good, sometimes it doesn't. See, where the Digitech, when I run the Digitech into the Boss BA330 or any powered PA speaker, ooh, man, it just smokes. Plus, Mellow Mick. Oh, thanks so much, Mellow Mick. I appreciate it. You know what? I love to have fun. I'm not saying I'm a perfect musician. I try to be. Especially when I'm with the classical guitar. But see, down here it gets so hot. And then if you're doing tremolas, sometimes your fingers swell up and they stick, So you're in these situations where you started playing, you started those first few notes, you got to go through it. You got to get through it, because if you draw attention and something's bad, then yeah. That's what it's about, yep. Enjoying it. Yeah, you have to. You have to. I'm not saying not to be perfectionists. I think all of us, deep down, we are perfectionists. We really try. But I always compare this to the world of classical guitars, because whether you like the style or don't like the style, in traditional classical guitar, you do not use a cutaway. You do not use electronics. Usually there's a microphone that's about 2 feet, maybe 18 inches or 20 inches from the sound hole. So your dynamics got to come from your hands. Plus, classical guitar concerts, and Deb and I have been to one, where it's an actual classical guitar concert. The guy's name is Jason Vail, or Vail, French guy, but he's American. Bought a CD. They play in concert halls that is acoustically set, so you could drop a pin on a pillow and you'll hear it, So the idea of classical guitars, you go there, and it's not like you're at the ball game, hot dog here, and then, dude, did you see last game? No, you sit there and you're really into it. But what I'm trying to get at, the technique is you got to have good technique. But as perfect as these players are, they will run into situations that just throws them a curb, and there's really nothing you can do about it. That's just how life is. But I do appreciate you liking the shows and liking the live stream, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not right now too much worried about showing if I forget something, showing if I make a mistake, showing if there's hardly anybody there, or if they're there, they're not really getting into it. Because I really think people do need to see this reality of gigging. Because sometimes that's how you can inspire a person by, here it is. Everyone has good days and bad days. And for a person that's just starting out, and I literally had this said to me yesterday. The guy was saying, "Wow, I thought it was me. There's something wrong with me." And I says, "No, there's nothing wrong with you. It's what everyone else portrays, music to be. Um, Sometimes you're just flat out not into it." And I think Ben Coombs mentioned another thing that I agree with him 100%, 100% on. It would be nice when the band is playing that all TVs get shut down so people could at least pay attention to the band. Because it doesn't make any sense hiring a band and no one's paying attention. It's kind of like hiring me to service your AC unit, because I used to do HVAC. And instead of servicing your unit, I find out you're a guitar player, and then all I'm doing is talking music. Meanwhile, it's the height of summer. The temperature on your thermostat went from 99 degrees to 100 degrees, and the sweat is pouring off your forehead, and you hired me to check out your AC unit, not to talk about this, right? So I really believe that people should have that respect. Let's see, it used to be considered very rude to even talk while a band played. You're right, Ben. You're absolutely right. Hey, yeah, yep. Oh, that's awesome. I know the House of Blues. The House of Blues in Chicago would have the TV monitors right above the urinals. So when the band's playing, all you gotta do is look up, and you're seeing the band play. Um, I really think that we need to get back to that, because it's almost like live performance is becoming more and more of a lost art, and it's just being like, okay, stick them in the corner and let them play, and then we'll just talk, or something. It's it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But this is why I will just keep playing, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Because first of all, I really believe you have to love what you're doing. If a person gets into this to be rich and famous, I hope you become rich and famous, because you're more likely nowadays to get famous picking your nose and putting it on YouTube and it goes viral than doing something incredibly, great on the guitar live again. See? Ben, you got in it for the girls. Ben, you're one person I can honestly say that you've been around it your whole life. I'll tell you what, your stories your dad has is just incredible, man. I think everyone should watch it. Watch Ben Coombs. Watch those live chats, especially with his dad, because yeah, it's a wealth of information. It is proof that your dad and everyone else that's experienced will tell anybody that wants to get into this business as a business, okay, and make it and get signed and travel the world, and have that backup plan. You gotta have that backup plan, because this is one of the most, if not the most, unstable businesses there is. Now, we all know that there's bad people out there, but now putting that aside, you'll have good people out there that their intentions are great and they want to help you, but if something happens, they run out of funds. So the tour that was going to be is now got to be put on the back burner because they ran out of funds. So I was talking to this guy last night at an open mic. The music store that I spotlighted yesterday, I did do the open mic, open jam, and it was fun. And let's see, I'm trying to read this. I'm the best guitar player in my house. Let me see something. Sorry about that. Yeah. Here's the thing, Mick. Mellow Mick says, I'm the best guitar player in my house. If someone were to ask, as you all know, ask you who's the best. Okay, so if anyone asks who's the best guitar player, you have a lot of different opinions. Now, if you were to base it on fact per style of music, you'd have to sit and just look at the technique. But you know what, guys? Dale Palmer, how are you? Good day. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Thank you so much. But you know, in reality, you could watch like one of the best guitar players out there, and if he or she's just having a bad day for whatever reason, then it's like you got to kind of also take that into consideration. And when we're young, we're invincible. We know everything. We don't have experience in anything. You know, we don't have any experience at all, but we know it all. You know, so you got to take everything in stride there. But yeah, getting back to this interview I saw with this guy Mike, who was sales with Ibanez Guitars. Yeah, he said 1978 Ibanez pulled out and said, okay, 100% on their own. And he did say that, yeah, it was very scary. It was very scary at first because you're not relying on anyone else for parts. You're building it right from the scratch, everything right there. And if anyone has been in business for themselves, when you took that plunge and you said, okay, I'm leaving my day job now because I know that my new job, my new career, my business, whatever it might be, is going to sustain. It's not only going to sustain me, but it'll help sustain itself. And these will be subjects my wife will be talking much more on. Oh, Mick, yeah, Mellow Mick, I love Ibanez guitars. I do too. Yeah, family people are here, Dale. Yep. This is. I'll tell you what. This right here, this whole platform is just. It's just so kick ass. It is so kick ass. Uh, no one needs to run around anymore like they used to have to. Trying to make money in a band is really tough where I live. Now, if you don't mind me asking me, Dale, where do you live? Because it honestly, it's basically, I think it's not just nationwide. I think it's just worldwide because it's overly saturated. And some people don't want to talk about it, but sit down and really look at it. I remember when Guitar Center opened up in 1980 in Chicago on Milwaukee Avenue. It was an old AMP grocery store, and that was the only Guitar Center that I was aware of. Oh, Rochester, New York, Western Upstate. Yeah, that's tough. You know, in each state it's gonna be has more tougher areas. I know Jim Dietrich had mentioned about in Shreveport, Louisiana. They used to have a lot of places where people would play, and all of a sudden it all dried up. Many guys playing multiple bands to get more gigs. That's exactly it. Yeah. Oh, Clive, thankfully you lucked out back in the day. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Is it Mellow Mick? Let's see. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mellow Mick. People don't like rock anymore. They like pop and rap. Yeah, it's gonna run its course, guys. It will run its course because I've got young students. I've had young students tell me this that they're sick and tired of it. Is there anything else? Yeah, most of the places that used to have bands either have closed or stopped doing it. Yeah, it is sad. Oh, Ben Coombs is right across from Lake Ontario. I think noise ordinance also put a dent in the business. Yeah, yeah, it did. The DUIs, the smoking ban, that contributed. That contributed big time. I remember Mike Dicka when he had his place in Chicago. Boy, he was as soon as they wanted that smoking ban, boy, he came out and says, "You're gonna really hurt our businesses." Yeah. Now down here in Florida, some places will let you smoke. I think I have to ask my wife here. Hey Deb, what was the deal if a bar does not sell food, they could smoke? Something like that, or definitely if it's private. Because I know my vocalist Mike said something to that effect.
Yeah, the AMVETS has
Yeah,
smoking,
the AmVets has smoking.
and so does Orioles.
So does Orioles.
They smoke inside
They smoke
Orioles.
inside, and also yeah, and they also have they do serve food. It's something weird. It really is something weird that they still have like there's these loopholes. Um, so you know, it's just it's real sad. real, it's real sad, you know. But also, I've shared with a lot of you guys when school's in season, I drive the bus, and I'll tell you what, man, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. What an easy job. Boy, I like when I hear these people bellyache. Well, I can't do this. I gotta do it. I have got to make it in my music, or I've got to do this, or I'm too good to do that. You know what? If you're making money legally and morally, be thankful. Count your blessings, my friends, because there's starving artists out there that they're great, but the problem is they're out in the street and they can't make any money. I'm not talking people busking. I'm talking about people that are really, really down. And I'm not trying to pick on them or make fun of them or at all. But what happens when a person becomes so stubborn and bullheaded, and they see their savings start to deplete into nothing, and then all of a sudden they're behind in their bills, they're going to lose their mortgage, they're going to get evicted, whatever. It's like they wait till the very last minute, and then the panic strikes in, and then it's like, oh, how am I going to rebuild? Then all this goes into the pawn shop where they got to sell it or something. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but it's, don't allow yourself to get to that point. This is my Allure cup from the insurance company. Good old German lady down here. We did this function, and she was kind enough to tip me very well. And she said, "Yeah, here's a cup." And I said to her, I said, "You know what? You don't mind if I use your cup hey, Mr. Bruce, how are you, my friend? Good seeing you. Good seeing you." So I told her, I said, since you were so kind to give me a nice tip, when I do my live streaming, I'll spotlight your company, your cup, even though it's backwards, unfortunately. And I know you said that earlier too, Ben, and yeah, it's been like this for a few months. It's backwards. I said this to some of the business owners about YouTube. There's a video, if you go back, when I'm doing like real live gigs, and I was spotlighting the Yamaha amp at that house going for what, was it $1.9 million, whatever it was. A lot of business owners there. Really, oh. Think about it, guys. There's people that watch me. Absolute mayhem. What's happening, my friend? Anyways, so I was telling them, I said, you know what? Take advantage of things. Ben Coombs, like I said, is from Canada. I think Absolute Mayhem's from Canada. Adam EVH, I know you said you try to tune in. If you can, this is for you, my friend. You rock, buddy. Adam's up in Canada. Jim Dietrich's in Shreveport. Our good friend, Joe Winch, awesome guitar player, great guy. He's up in Carolina. I think Dry Heat he was a Chicagoan, but now he's in Arizona. Mr. Bruce, I forgot where you're from. I apologize, my friend. R2R3, Schaumburg, Illinois, And Showman Blues is down here in Naples, Florida. And there's a lot of other people here that'll tune in and watch. They're from Florida. I'm telling these people, go ahead and use this platform to spotlight your business. Don't, and then when I told this one guy that being a guitarist, if you give me some of your business cards, yeah, but I do roofing. I walk dogs, or I do this. Not got nothing to do with music. When I'm out there playing, oh, okay, Mr. Bruce, you're in Ohio. Ed Dana's in Ohio too, I believe. Yeah, Ohio's a nice state. So I tell him, I said, and this was at the farmer's market, I had all the business cards out there, including ours, of course. And when I told these people this, I said it in front of everybody. I said, it was nice to give me a tip, but give me some of your business cards. Oh, well, long hair, guitar player, maybe they don't see the connection. When I explained it to them, you used to see their eyeballs. It almost did like the Ralph Cramden. Their eyeballs got real big. I told them, when I'm out there playing, I'm not playing for a bunch of guitar players. Yeah, there's going to be guitar players out there, and some of the guitar players, they have a business. They might be doing. We got this down here called like storm shutters, so and screens for the lanais, and because a lot of musicians will work construction and will work in the trades, and they'll have their own businesses, flooring businesses, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, you know. And I tell these people, give me your cards because it's a way of networking. And I remember one.
I was looking up.
Yeah, I did. There we go. Okay, we're back again. It goes in and out because of the. And my good friend that works for New York Life, I said, yeah, give me that. You know, even though it's backwards, but you see here, look how big this is, and even though backwards, you could still tell what it is, right? So I told some of these people, as crazy as this sounds, when I put stuff right there and I start talking, a lot of you guys out there, either you have a business or you work for a company that's got a business. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, Mr. Bruce. You said you heard Deb. Yeah, this guy Bruce says hi to Deb. Mr. Bruce.
Oh, they heard in the
Yeah,
background?
yeah. Deb says hi to all of you guys. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you guys, you know, showing your response to Deb. You know, because I'll tell you what, without her, I'd be nothing, man. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it. You know, that's life, right? Hey, Jim. Yeah, Jim says hello to Deb. Deb says hi. But yeah, so you know when this lady said, yeah, everyone's saying hi, Deb. We love Deb. Thank you so much, guys.
Oh my goodness, it's not even my birthday.
Yeah, how about that?
Hi,
We love that. Hey, no, that you guys rock, man. Tell you what. So yeah, when I was saying that, this guy was saying it. You know, go figure, a guitar player would think about something like this. I'm thinking to myself, if you have a business, the biggest tool right now, better than the phone, is the internet, right? Hey, R2, R3, thank you so much. He's giving hats off to you too, Deb. He's from Schaumburg, Illinois. R2, R3, Locking Up. I'm sure you're aware of Chandler's Steakhouse. We used to do shows at Chandler's Steakhouse. I'm going to get real quick into the gigs and that because there's some cool stories to share with you guys. As well as our Ibanez guitars, you know. This guitar is such a workhorse, man. Oh, real quick, I put a new little thing back here, but this screw, okay, it kind of stripped, right? So I do have a little bit of a space. Could you see that? Right? That's my washer. But it's locked in there, so I'm able to kind of still throw the guitar. And, of course, you got to be careful when you do it with this because you could choke yourself, right? So, okay, I don't want to be all over the place, but, so, I'm sure you're aware of this, right? Okay, this is number 2 because number 1, it's not, I'm sure Deb showed it to you guys. Maple wood dowel, yes, you're right. You're definitely right, Absolute Mayhem, yep, and wood glue, yep. Yeah, knock that in there, and boy, oh, you're an anchor, okay. Nice. Mellow Mike, Mellow Mick, it's a pleasure meeting you too, man. Oh, well, you're saying that to Bruce. Yeah, sorry, guys. See, I have to look at it because I do everything on the phone and it types real small, you know.
You're showing everybody what I surprised you with
I
yesterday?
certainly did. And Deb picked this up. I come back from the open jam and then I thought maybe she moved it from my table over there onto my what do you call it? My drum bench, you know, my drum seat. But yeah, she actually bought another one. So now I got 2, which is nice. The other one was messing up. So I just gotta be careful. It broke. It took a dive.
When
Michael
you threw
Bishop.
The guitar and the strap broke.
Yeah, she said when I threw the guitar and the strap broke.
That's when the wireless broke.
That's when the wireless broke, you know. I guess I should say, hey, could you guys do something about this? Maybe you can make it a little bit stronger. And they'll probably say, well, don't throw your guitar around, stupid. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so, but yeah, other than that, this guitar is such a workhorse. Um, it's fast at becoming one of my favorite guitars because of that. I can rely on it. The tuning doesn't go off too bad at all, surprisingly. With the flat matte finish, it's great. Plus, it does have a pretty good, Strat sound. I think these are called the quantum pickups. Ibanez's quantum pickup. That's my neck and bridge. Here's my neck out of face. And then here's neck full. So, yeah, very reliable guitar. Very comfortable to play. Like my, let's see, the one I found in the dumpster. Just took a dive, but I caught it in time. Yeah, it's a workhorse guitar, Now, before I go any further, I did say I would show you some. I forgot I had actually 3 Ibanez acoustics. I counted how many Ibanez guitars I actually went through, and I at least about 15, which is not a whole lot compared to what some people have out there, but it's still a good and significant amount. So now onto my Ibanez acoustics. Now this is the only 12 string I have, but they call this the exotic woods. And I don't know if you could see how the headstock is in like mother of pearl. Yeah. So, and here would be the back. There's the sides. And, there's the back. There's the back of the neck, and the sides. The headstock has exotic woods. It is a real thick body. It has a built-in chorus, and which I got a tuner. I haven't used it in a while. I do gotta put new strings on it, but you can tell. Very, very comfortable for a 12 string, man. It's the only one I own, but yeah. So, real comfortable. Now, let me show you another acoustic, another Ibanez acoustic. I'll show you this one before I show you the other one. This one, Sunburst, kind of like a flame finish, with the that headstock, that emblem right there was on the headstock, and that emblem was on some of the earlier Ibanez electric guitars, and I can't remember. Definitely on the Musician series. I gotta change these strings. And it's also got 3-band EQ. This will take 2 AA batteries, the same way with the 12 string. And both the 12 string and this has both 1/4 inch and XLR outputs. Okay. Now, if you're wondering I don't know if you could see this. Maybe you can't. There's little holes off of the bridge. Can you see those 2 little holes? That was from my Roland pickup. I screwed it on because I was using my guitar synth with this. Now, sorry guys, my last acoustic, Ibanez acoustic, is another exotic woods. And they're laminates, okay. They do look nice though. You've got the black tuners. Kind of a flat neck, which is nice, and you can see how the wood is. But again, it is a laminate because when you look in the sound hole, you won't see. If it was true, it'd be a lot more. Yeah, zebra wood. Yeah, it's the zebra wood. And of course, there's my Roland pickup, my GK2. That came with my GR33 guitar synth. And then we bought another Well, actually, this I bought. This was the second pickup I bought because the original one I stuck on my BC Rich Warlock, and it works with our GR33. I mean, our came with the GR33. The GR33 will come with the GK2 pickup, but it also works with the GR55 guitar synth, and that comes with the GK3 pickup. So yeah, real comfortable guitar. Uh, I could do a little bit. I could do a little bit of the tremolo on the steel strings. It's a different animal, Now, I don't do this too much because the steel strings, when I do what's called the roscatas, it really could tear into. Thanks. Yeah, they do sound. They do sound good. Um, so I do it mostly on my nylon string because the technique on roscatas is you're really going like that, and it's hard on the nails. And because I do so much cross over styles, I do try to protect my fingernails when I have to do something that's elegant and um, where it's a lot of attention to detail. Because when your fingernails get messed up, it's equivalent to playing with a guitar pick that you did so many pick scratches on, so the pick is all messed up. So the deal on fixing that is you take the pick and you wipe it on a good hard rug. And my friends and I have been doing that since the early 1980s. And then when I saw recently Steve Vai talking about it, well, obviously he knew about it too. But again, back in the 80s, we didn't have the internet, right? So, but I'll tell you what. Let's see. Does this have? Yeah, this also has the 1/4 inch and the XLR output. So now this is with their acoustic electric series. A little out of practice there, but anyways. So. Then Ibanez does have their nylon string classical guitars, and they do have an 8-string classical guitar. And of course, if you want to go in the custom made, you could get the 9 and 10-string classical guitars, because multi-string instruments is really nothing new. Anyone who has done research in the Renaissance period, you'll see that there are sketches of old instruments. I forget what it was called, but it was almost like a cello, but it had frets, and it came with a bow. And there is a company now that that kind of brought that idea back to life, and they're selling, and their starting price is like $5,000. They got them in solid body electrics, and they got them also in acoustic versions. Like the harp guitar is nothing really. It's not a new concept, but it got revamped. So a lot of these ideas really do come from a much earlier period of time. And how I found out about that is through the organization, Guitar Foundation of America, that Deb and we belong to. And when I was going to participate in their international competitions and their conventions, I got all the soundboard magazines. I was doing all this research on Renaissance music, because at the Bristol Renaissance Fair I was playing up in Wisconsin, we had to play traditional Renaissance music. I remember I was walking with the musical director when I went for the audition, and he's walking me through the park. We've been there 100 times, but now he's telling me places I could play at, places I can't play at within the park. But he was real adamant about the style of music. I cannot play Bach's Bourrée in E minor. I used to do that a lot. I'd have to relearn that. Or Bach's Prelude in C minor, which for guitar got transposed to D minor. You might have heard that. It's a I have to relearn it, guys. Sorry about that. But I used to play that a lot. But any of those pieces, I was not really allowed to play because that's part of the Baroque period. So I had to stick with that. But no, but Ibanez does make an 8-string nylon string. They do make a 7-string jazz guitar that I heard. It sounds phenomenal. And what's really interesting, Mrs. Zach Thong, how are you? Good seeing you, buddy. Good seeing you. And they do make left-handed guitars. And I think Jamal, he's a lefty, like Shane from In the Blues is a lefty. And oh, all right, okay, you're also a lefty. Now maybe I look like I'm lefty right now because I'm live, but no, I'm not left-handed. And which is interesting, because back in the day, there was not many left-handed guitars, and that's why Hendrix had to take the righty guitar and flip it upside down. And of course, he restrung it. There's a guy named Coco Montoya, blues rock guitarist. He plays lefty. He took a right-handed guitar. He plays lefty, and the strings, the bass strings on the bottom. There's a few people done like that, Unless they make reversing Ibanez guitars, yeah. It is what it is. But it's interesting how this company, out of all the companies that is out there, I cannot think of one that has such a wide spectrum of instruments, from shred, which would be like the RG series, and then the Gem series, and then some of the other my Sunburst one is called the RGA, but I just smacked into it. So they really left making the copy guitars 100% and just say, you know what, we're gonna be 100% on our own, and I give them a lot of credit. Because that's taken a huge gamble. Part of it is because of the lawsuit, because they had no choice. But anyone that has their own business, like I said moments ago, that you want to make sure you have that steady stream of income, because the cost of living is, as we all know, is expensive. Then you add another expense to that of keeping the business going, because sometimes that first year you might not make what you think you're going to make, and that could be in any business, let alone in music. So I give them a lot of credit. I do know ESP guitars, I think they came out in like 76, 77. Schecter, I remember Schecter is just selling guitar parts, because when I was in high school, I get the Guitar Player magazine, and of course you see the ads for the Schecter parts. Dean Guitars was around, because everyone remembers the Dean guitar, Flying V, with the blonde girl in the bikini holding the Dean Flying V. But Dean, after they made it was called their Baby Z guitars, which is a smaller body, smaller Flying V, and a smaller Explorer shape, and the V shape got small too. After that, they were going like this and being sold around, and yeah, they do. That's interesting. They make a guitar for every genre and every price point, and price range. That's a good point. And I think that's part of one of their secrets of surviving without, maybe someone stepped down and someone stepped up. Yeah, the Baby Z's were awesome. I had one. Had a Kaler system on it. I thought it was awesome. One pickup in the bridge, But again, Dean, they kind of went away. ESP, they've always been strong, but it's not like if you go to NAMM and then here's a wall of all your hollow body jazz guitars, and here's your artists: George Benson, John Scofield, Pat Metheny, and of course there's a few others that are up and coming in the traditional jazz world. And then you got the Classy series, which would be the Ibanez artists range, and I know there's more artists coming up now that is in that spectrum, which would be like equivalent to anywhere from classic rock to jazz fusion to and pop and all points in between. And oh, Zach, you're a lefty too. Okay, got a lot of lefties out there. It's good. It's good that they're starting. They're making guitars specifically for lefties, and just have a nice section. Because you're out there. It's really. I really feel bad for a lot of you guys that you gotta wait. I was just gonna say that it's slim for them. Yeah, you're right, Dale. The availability for left-handed guitars, for guitarists, and the available on what's in inventory is not really not too big. And I understand from a store's owner's perspective, they cannot fill up a wall with something and then they only have a couple people coming and buying. But now at the same time, are you willing to dig in your pocket and float that boat for a while to make sure that when someone comes in, they have a guitar of their choice? That is really tough. That really is tough. I really think there should be a little bit of fairness on that. Okay, no problem. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in, Mr. Bruce. I appreciate it, man. I really, really appreciate it. And I like everyone else, sometimes I forget to say this, but I urge everyone to sub to everyone. And when everyone's got a chat, always check everyone out because this whole platform, we would miss this platform if it went away. I know that. I know I'd miss it, and I know all of you would miss it too. Because even if you're a pro, a semi-pro, a gigging musician, or a person that's a collector, someone just loves to play, this is the greatest, man. when you got, that was a video I saw of Nita Strauss. She's an Ibanez and Dorsey, or an Ibanez artist, and she mentioned about her Instagram account and YouTube and that. When you see the major stars, if this would have been even in the 1980s, you would never hear about this because this platform was not around. So the concept of a major signed artist having an account that anyone else could have is almost unheard of. And I'm not saying anything bad about an artist or an ego or anything like that. It was just the way it was because they'll have management because now there's money invested in them. They got to concentrate on doing these shows, so they don't have time. But now it's a totally different platform where you have major artists that they're on YouTube and they're using this because they see the value of it. That's what it is, and which I think is second to none. It's invaluable how valuable this is. But yeah, getting back with the Ibanez guitars. So if you go to NAMM, you see just all these walls, and then of course all the shredding guitars. And I said this before. Let me put this over here. The Ibanez, I think it is called. Oh crap! Now how could I forget it? The Radius, the Ibanez Radius. Joe Satriani really did not have his signature model. It came from the Radius. But if there's anyone out there that has a 1985, 86, or 87, in that range of catalog, you're going to see Joe Satriani playing. I thought it was like a pinkish color guitar. Would almost look like it was the RG, but it didn't have I don't think it had these sharp horns. And I think what it was, this part of the body was more narrow, tapered down, and this was not upright like this. It was more in. And then the back was thick like this, but the back was not straight up like that. It kind of went in a little bit. It was almost a square type. I thought the original snake guitar was... Yes, it was. It was. He was Ibanez, and the guy from Ibanez was explaining this, that it was all these transitions of this model of guitar that was going through these little experiments, and it was called the Radius, but then it was called. Let me see if I pull that up. You are right. The Sabre or Sabri, yeah, because they were going through all of these experiments, and then later on the actual Satch model is what it is, but it's like the RG series. Steve Vai did have this concept. I think he had a guitar that was when he was on tour with Whitesnake, and he had it backstage, and it was one of the guitars he was using. I think it was sanded down to the wood because Steve Vai's got large hands. He says it doesn't make sense to have a 24 fret guitar and I can't get my hand down here. So it was like his idea. So him and Ibanez were looking at this, and of course right away the designers at Ibanez saw this and like, okay, we could run with this big time. And of course they put their flair to it. And then later on, Steve Vai also said with the monkey grip. Oh, I think we got another comment coming up. Yeah. Oh, the very first YouTube channel I like was Your Guitar Sage. Nice. Cool. Absolutely. Um, so, and then of course Ibanez did have the Destroyer, because that's what I traded my Ibanez Artist for, was the X series, real cheap. I mean, the wood was completely like almost plasticky toy compared to that Ibanez Artist, man. Boy, was I stupid. Now, for a metal guitar, the Craftsman on that cheap wood, cheap Ibanez Destroyer, it was like their bottom of the line. The pickups were killer, man. And then they had the Phil Collins model, which was the black with the triple cream color pickup, and they were going through experimental stages with their bridges, because they had the Pro Rocker, I think. That's what I had as far as my whammy system. And Fender, I think, was selling a locking nut separately. You could screw it on to the here, and it had the tuners. It was a real cheap version of a locking nut, but it was something that was helping my guitar stay in tune. And if you ever see the Phil Collins model, I know there's people out on YouTube putting it out. If they have that original bridge, it's almost between. It was their first version of their Edge. Now the guy that on this interview, Mike, he said that him and the engineers, they got together and we were talking about the Floyd Rose. They were all agreeing that the Floyd Rose was one of the best systems they saw because how it was engineered. Now he said something in this interview about the spacing on the pole pieces here. Also helped the stability of the bridge. So Ibanez's, these Edge, they're spaced different. And so again, they kept going through these transitions on some of the S series, that's the Sabri, I believe. That what the Sabri became was also the S series, because Ibanez is going through all these experimentations. Because let's see, what did they say? With the success of the Ibanez Gem and the Ibanez Universe. I can't remember now. He said it was taken off, but then grunge came and knocked that down. But then Korn started using 7-string guitars, so it was kind of going like that. So this is, and the guy was saying at Ibanez, it's a challenge. It really is a challenge for them as a guitar builder to keep up with everything and still make a guitar that is, I think, one of the best guitars out there because for the reliability. Now, if Ibanez were to go back to the exact specs of that 1978 Ibanez Artist, it had an ebony fretboard. If they were going right down to the last wood specs, and if they were to do a reissue of that guitar to those specs, not the reissues that they came out with, because they were very light. They might have been made of basswood or something, or real light mahogany. But the actual specs of the 1978 model with the exact wood specs, if they would turn around and sell those guitars brand new, you'd probably be looking at starting price around $4,000 or $5,000. Because see, all those woods now are very rare, and their craftsmanship, and I mean down to the exact specs. Because the back plate of my guitar, it had the brass or gold plated over the controls, and then the toggle switch, and it said it was scripted, built by handcrafted by the proud luthiers as master builders made in Japan. So yeah, it was a really, really special guitar. Now this thing right here, you know what this is? You know this is only 3 screws? This is an O-Cedar dust broom. I cut it out because it didn't have a back plate. Because sometimes I play behind my neck and I get my hair stuck back there, and I guess I should just leave it there and just get stuck. Be part of the show, right? Let's see. But now you have several to choose from. Oh yeah. And another thing with Ibanez is right down to their pickups. So now this guy Mike said that they're really good friends with DiMarzio, with Larry DiMarzio, and so in the I want to say the late '80s or maybe early '90s, they really teamed up with the DiMarzio pickups and that. Um, yeah, I don't have Paul Reed Smith. I was gonna buy one. I like the Santana model, even their SE models, and there's C2 models and S2 models and that. But this right here is known as the lawsuit guitar, and it's arch top. It is a neck through, and I'll tell you what, it looks a lot down to like the little bevel right here. It looks a lot. It does kind of look a lot like a Santana model, except the long horns are not. They're offset. But it is a Gibson Epiphone model, made in USA. These pickups, they are called rail hammer pickups. I thought they were Bill Lawrence because Bill Lawrence was real famous for having these type of thin rails. But there's a company called Rail Hammer, and so that guitar is a 1988 model because they only ran them 1 year, and then Paul Reed Smith said, "You ain't doing that anymore." And that's what happened. So, but yeah, now there was another thing I wanted to share with you guys. Yeah, that's a cool guitar. Thanks, Zach. It is. I was taking a picture of it, and I called my wife and I told her she was on her way from her job, and what was that? Educators Music. I took a picture of it and I said, "You can't believe what they have. I've never seen one in this finish because I was goodbye. The only one I've seen was a black one. And that was back in 1988. I was going to buy one. And I decided to put the money on something else. The GKML 250ml little amplifier that had a stand, stereo amp, 100 watts. So after that, I never saw these guitars again. And I was at the 1980 NAMM. Yeah, reconnecting, my friend. Because I was in the 1980 NAMM show, 1989 NAMM show, and I was in the Gibson booth, and they were just bringing out their Epiphone Les Pauls. They had everything there except that guitar, not there. So it's a 30-year-old guitar, plays like a dream. I like using it, but I do like this. This is just super comfortable for me, and I can kind of rock out and have a good time, and it's not an expensive guitar. And this is what I mean. It's not that Ibanez cannot make something expensive, but they're smart, and it's reliable. And you ask any gigging professional musician, your biggest thing besides your sound is, can it stay in tune? Can I get through a show, let alone 4 hours? Now I'll bring out different guitars for not for different tunings, but for a different feel. And when I do the Thrill Is Gone, it sounds much better on my Gibson Les Paul or the Lawsuit. It'll sound alright on here. You got the nice neck pickup. But it is a bolt-on neck. It slightly has a thinner sound. Yeah, you're right. Dale Palmer, you're right. Ibanez does have something for everybody, and the price point is good. The quality is good. I'm sure that some of you out there remember the 1978-79 model guitars. And boy, if you ever go to some old vintage guitar shows and you pick some of these up, you'll see what I mean. When you pick them up, it's like, oh, that's an Ibanez? Holy crap. But you see, back then, nobody was eco-friendly. No one cared. We didn't worry about, rare, trees running scarce. But some of them started to, I think, in the classical guitar world. because you want to talk about some high-end guitars, man, that you might look at like, there's no cutaway, there's nothing. And some of them will go in like starting price at $15,000. But it's, again, they're made for when you play with orchestra, their sound projects. Um, because the other thing, if you were to type in Guitar Foundation of America, GFA, you might see some like wrestling app, but then you'll see guitar, classical guitar. If you were to participate in these competitions, you're gonna have to know how to read music. You're gonna have to know how to read not just a chord chart, but an orchestra chart, because part of your winning is you go on tour with an orchestra. And I'm not meaning, there's a saxophone here, I'm a big band. No, I'm talking orchestra. Depending on what it would be, because they're also experimenting with new ideas, but totally different world. But again, like Dale Palmer said, Ibanez is making something really for everybody, and they're doing it extremely well. And when another company wants to, I'm sure some companies will do this, frown down. Oh, that's only this. Usually people that, it's funny. Usually people that they have their favorites, and I have my favorites, but I try to look at things as they really are. You get some of what people say, like the tube amp snobs. I will never play a solid state amp. I cannot. I did. Okay, that's fine. Then you won't get the job, because if you have to show up at a venue and you don't have your amp and this is all we have, and you say you can't do it, then, hey, Dave, could you do it? Yep, no problem. Guess who gets the gig? Nobody cares at this point when it comes down to some of these shows. Now, I'm not saying don't care about your tone or anything like that, but if a person becomes so anal, they could knock themselves out of business too, because they want to be so anal. And speaking of like the jazz guitar sound, the old technique we used to do is just roll down our tone, and you kind of get like this. Usually you use your neck pickup, roll the tone down, and you get close. But if you were to compare it to an actual hollow body guitar, yeah, you'd be able to tell the difference. So yeah, they do make a wide range of guitars for everyone, and I just think they're a great company. And for them to go that strong, literally since 1970, although they were mostly in Japan at that time, and the guy Mike, he said that they got their U.S. distributor contract in 1972. That's a very long time. It's a long time to go strong without, I don't ever remember seeing them disappearing for a matter of a few years. Dean Guitar, that happened to Dean. It happens to several companies. I want to say that happened to Guild. And I can't remember a couple other companies. I think Alvarez disappeared, because I had a couple of Alvarez acoustic guitars, and they made a comeback. Definitely MXR. And Jim Dunlop came and, took over. But I do remember MXR disappearing. Fender didn't disappear. Gibson, they didn't disappear. But if you look at, now Fender did have, I think, their Hartfield guitar. That was kind of like an RG. And that was in the, I want to say mid to late 1980s. Because if you see a live video of the band Fight with Rob Halford, there is a live video of Nailed to the Gun where the guy's playing a Hartfield guitar, or Hetfield, something like that. And it almost looks like a Ibanez RG. But as far as a company that has stayed, consistent, never vanishing from the scene, Ibanez is definitely one of the companies. And for them to have this huge, absolutely huge selection of styling and artist endorsements, it's impressive, very, very impressive. So another thing I wanted to talk about was I saw this thing on Craigslist, and I wanted to share this with you guys because I thought this was very interesting. And sometimes we go about our daily business, in the music world, and we don't really give it a second thought, because if you're a guitar player, if you're a gigging guitar player, you're not just a guitar player, you're a salesman, you know. Although my wife does do a lot of that. When she can't, I'm out there and doing the selling. And it's, you know, we both work together on this. But that being said, you're also selling. So this will kind of give you an idea, two ways of doing this. And I'm going to bring up about Schaumburg, Chandler's Steakhouse in Schaumburg, Illinois, because there's two places we did this. Chandler's in Schaumburg, and then White Fence Farm in Joliet, Illinois. When I teamed up with this lady, Renee Hine, very, very talented vocalist. I mean, extremely talented vocalist. We did a lot of the Carpenter shows because we were gearing our shows for a lot of the seniors, and they'd go out and have these luncheons, like just the active seniors. And I would have to get permission to disclose, but we were doing ticket sales, and we were doing very good. Joe Winch, how are you, my friend? Good evening from the open road. Driving in a heavy storm. Oh man, hey Joe, stay safe out there, man. We just had a couple of heavy storms here. We always get them in Florida. We're in the south too, so you're not too far from us, you know. I probably will be able to do a better replay of your tune, Joe. When we were playing, they left the TV on, and everything is on one circuit in that area. Even though, you know, there's different plugs, but you could be in different plugs. But if that whole strip is hooked up to one circuit, you're still hooked up to the same circuit. So, see, we do a better version of that for you, my friend. Awesome song. So yeah, with the gigs. So I see this article, okay, on Craigslist, and it had to been written from a club owner, restaurant, bar, whatever you want to call it, male or female, doesn't matter. A lot of female owners are very, very smart. So it's good to see this, because if we were to take this 20, now let's say even 30, 40 years back, the ladies wouldn't get the respect like they deserve, you know, in business. But anyways, get a bite to eat. Yeah, no problem, Jason. Thank you for tuning in, man. I know what you mean. When the belly starts aching, boy, and it'll let you know when you're hungry. I might have to read. I'll nuke this after the show. I like my tea hot. I like my cappuccino hot. I do like iced tea, but when it's iced tea, I like it iced tea, not like this lukewarm. You know. Anyways, let me get on to what I was gonna say about this, what I saw on Craigslist, and because there's a lot of people, they go back and forth like this. The bands butt heads with the club owners butt heads with the bands, and we all know about bias. You know, we all know there's people out there that I call them the opportunity growth chokers. You know, they invite you in, but as you get ready to come in, they slam the door in your face, and you gotta kind of kick the door down or whatever. You know. Figuratively speaking, they make life miserable. They make it incredibly hard, and to the point where you go around them, left or right, under them, but better yet, you go over them, and you let them know that you're not going to be made a fool out of. But I have to agree with this person that said, you know, the club owners, they have overhead. And they're stuck to that brick and mortar building. They have a lot of overhead. And what this guy was saying was, it doesn't even matter how packed the place is. If they're not buying, then it's just bodies taking up space in the place. The register's not ringing that much. You could have a fairly half full to almost a quarter way full place, but they're spending money left and right. So he was saying that he would suggest when people ask if they would, like, let's say you're playing and then someone wants to buy you a drink. Oh, you played my favorite song. I want to buy you a drink. One of the suggestions this guy said was, well, if that's the case, you pick the most expensive drink on the shelf. You know, providing the guy wants to pay for it, even if you don't drink it, because it is a sale. And I thought, you know what? this guy's right. This guy is right when it comes down to this is the problem that they're having. Adam EVH, what's happening? Good seeing you. Live from the road. Oh, yeah. Adam says hi, Deb.
Hey,
So what he was saying is that basically to try to be fair about it because he says he likes good music. He said, but in his business, he said he takes a gamble. He or she they take a gamble of having the establishment, and okay, the liquor license we all know is that's it's expensive. You have people that try to sneak underage drinking in, so you got to have like global vision to watch your surroundings. And if you're selling food, you got to make sure the place is clean. You got city inspectors, you got health inspectors coming in. So, I mean, it's a lot. It really is a lot. To be fair, it's a lot. And I thought it was really cool what this guy is saying that he appreciates good music, but it doesn't make any sense if someone is doing the greatest guitar solo in the world, but yet they're not friendly to the crowd or they don't encourage people to buy and spend their money at their place. It doesn't do him much good. He said he's been in situations where he doesn't really like bands that are absolutely horrible. He says, he's been in a situation where he had a band like that, but then he had a band. He did this comparison. He had a band that was kind of mediocre. They were okay musicians, and they were kind of okay, but their strong point was they knew how to help him sell liquor. And he said one of the guitar players in the band says, yeah, he's drinking. He says, oh, this feels like I'm on vacation heaven. And because he said that, he said within that hour, or maybe within a couple hours, if I remember correctly, but he said within a couple hours, he sold $100 worth of just that drink alone because of the guitar player talking it up. So I'm listening, I'm reading this article, and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, this guy is right because that is part of the name of the game. Now, this is in the bars. So you have the covers, and you have another situation going on with the covers because the guy that owns the music store that I was talking with, he was saying, yeah, they come after everybody with the performance rights. They even go after the karaoke. And my singer, Mike, was saying, there was one time down here, I think down in Cape Coral, they were shutting down the karaoke because no one had the performance rights. You're making money off of doing this. You're making money off of someone else's music. You're really making money off of someone else. Thanks, Clive. Appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. Cheddar, how are you? Can't stay long because I'm hanging out. Oh, no problem, Cheddar. Hey, absolutely. You do what you need. Always family first. Always, please the missus. And you know what? I think we got Johnny Beanie. He's gonna be coming out shortly. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother when people, because I do the same thing. Check out a little bit here, check out a little there, and then of course sometimes when you don't hear of me on these chats, it's because I'm working with all this. So we have a special platform, and the whole idea is to help everybody out. That's the whole idea. When a person gets a little bit too jealous and wants to say, okay, well, I don't want to be this person's friend, then it's like, okay, that's the kind of start of a decline, and we don't want that, So I really appreciate, what all of you do, because you guys are sharing information, and when I log on, or even I can't log on, I check out on the replay, I learned something. And that's what I learned on reading this article in Craigslist. Because, boy, I've seen some stuff, man, where people are just bashing each other and like, well, this person's not paying, or watch out, and they'll give it by name. And I really don't believe in doing that. I really believe if, warning people is one thing. When someone wants to say, Dave, who is it specifically that's doing this, then there'll have to be a conversation one-on-one. Because I'm not out to bash people. And, you'll notice that I'll latch out of the choke growthers, or the growth chokers, the opportunity chokers. I think that we know people like that, and in the long run, they screw themselves, because that's it takes a long time to gain someone's trust, or to trust a person that you know is trying to do you in and screw you over. So, anyways, um, so this guy in this article, and there's a lot of this going on Craigslist where it's mentioned by names. Here's the thing: when you don't mention a name, you don't even advertise that person. Someone had said this. I heard this. I can't remember who said this, but this is so true. Success is the sweetest revenge. And meaning, you don't have to worry about seeking out revenge, because see, that takes thought and time, and that kind of festers in the mind. When you shift your attention to getting yourself together and yourself growing and thriving, what happens, your mind becomes so occupied with getting your business up and going, you don't have time to worry about these people. But in the process, what happens is, as you know, you're moving forward. These people, they sit and they're like doing a slow burn, because now they're seeing you having success. You're not even mentioning their name. You don't wish any bad on those people, and they're starting to realize everything that they said bad about you, the tables are turned on them. So, but some of these people will say this stuff on Craigslist, and that's tough. So I think what this guy did was in response to this. He said about how the bands have to be a little bit more open-minded and seeing this how it really is. And then he went on to say about the open jams. And I thought he was almost hinting that the open jams are even better than karaoke, because you see, karaoke, you're taking a popular song, but legally, if BMI, ASCAP, and I know there's another company that this guy at the music store was saying, they want to come after you, they could do it legally. They have that right, because that's not our song. That's theirs. Or whoever owns that performance right. You got publishing rights, but you do have a thing called performance rights. And what that means is that you're making money off of the performance off of that song. And so they could come after you. But this guy, this bar owner, said that the open mic, what's nice about that is you'll get people that want to come in and play their originals. So, okay, don't have to worry about that, right? Unless they got their music registered, which my wife and I, we have our music registered, but we're not going to be all anal about that. Unless something happens that we would have to be, but I hope not, Anyways, the open mic, this guy said, the gigging musicians that are in the area, that they might be off that night, they still want to go out and play. Guess what? They're going to go down, they find an open mic, they sit there and they have a jam session. As far as the owner is concerned, that brings more people in, hopefully to sell more drinks. Now, here is the flip side of this coin. I don't really believe in doing the pay-to-play when it comes to, let's say, a bar that advertises, we have live music and we're always looking for new acts to play in our place. We're providing this, okay? And I know a lot of you guys will... thanks. Hey, West Coast Almighty. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We're doing good, my friend. Like that song you posted up, too. That was awesome. See, another thing that we're working on doing is, I see some of these people's songs, I like them, and, put in my playlist, because it spotlights you guys. The whole idea, and I don't want to, go too many tangents, because then the mind could forget, But really, the whole idea of why I wanted to start this channel was to, I mentioned this before, the gigs and the unsigned guitarists. Because those are the ones that work just as hard. I'm not saying signed musicians don't work hard. But the working class work very hard, because sometimes you still have to have your day job. Then you got to go out at night and play these cover songs. And you got to remember every song that's been ever written and every key, because you get different vocals to have to sing in different keys. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. And the pay's not all that great. So therefore, you can only afford so much gear. That's why people like Ibanez and Mr. Peavy were smart and said, let's have something for the working class, because we know they're going to be out there. That is the long run. That's the longevity. Stars will come and go. The working class will always be there. So when this guy said about the open mic, now the pay to play, okay, so you have the open mics, the musicians. The only one who gets paid really is the person that's hosting the open mic. And what we used to do with our open mic, we would have a guest artist. So we have everyone to come and play. And then we'd have artists, a specific artist. It could be anyone. They want to sign up. I want to be the main artist. Okay, fine. And they get like a half hour, and we pass around a tip jar, and then that tip money would go for that artist that would be playing for that night. So we would try to be, fair about it, and it was working nice.
A guy, I put a bid in for an event,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy he's got some questions for you before moving forward with booking.
Okay.
I don't know how.
Oh well, yeah. I'm gonna wrap this up in a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I got a guy asking a question here.
We have to call him.
Well, I gotta call this guy. So I'm gonna wrap this up in just about 5 minutes then. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is what happens. I get these calls, and then I have to take care of business. But to cut through the chase, get right to the point. When you want to play at a specific place, and I'm going to use Chandler's and White Fence Farm as we would sell tickets. We were not renting a place. We'd buy the meals, and then we would sell tickets. We had the ticket prices. So it would be like a dinner and a show, but in this case it was a lunch and a show, and we were doing really, really good with that. That's one way you could guarantee yourself getting yourself in a specific place that you love the venue, you want to play there, regardless. That's where you got to have some money put aside, or however you want to do this with ticket sales, a dinner and a show, things of that nature. And you'd be surprised, and you'll be playing in places that you couldn't get in when you were trying to go through the booking agent. But see, since now you're renting out the place, now you're in charge. It's your show. The owner of the place, as long as you don't tear the place up. Now the owner's, he's making money off of you regardless, and boom, you just went over all these other people that was holding you back and saying you can't that.
Because I have to go to bed.
Okay. So anyways, guys, I have to make a very important phone call, and I apologize about this, but I thank everyone for tuning in, and we will be on our live show Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. And then we'll also stream our evening show at Rusty. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I really appreciate this. This is Rockin' Dave. Remember, always hold the doors of opportunity open. Don't be a growth choker. And always desire to inspire and keep it real. And thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Until Saturday, we'll talk to you later, my friends. Take care, and God bless. Rock and roll. Take care. Bye-bye.